welcome to the Retro Game Club Podcast Season 4, Episode 5 again, because I think I called the last one Episode 5, which is also Episode 116. I am Rob, and with me is someone who's been verified not to be compatible on the Steam Deck, Hugh.
That's right, and I even run on really, really old technology.
I think it's your copy protection.
Must be something like that, yeah. So yeah, I didn't get a Steam Deck yet, but I did go to the site that lists your Steam Deck compatibility. Mm-hmm. And my entire library, which by the way does run on my non-gaming Linux PC through Proton, all are verified to not work on the Steam Deck, also through Proton.
Nice.
I don't know how that's possible.
I wonder if it's something... So a lot of the games that are verified as playable, but not like 100% verified, is because of font size and stuff on the small screen. So I'm wondering if it has it might be something weird like that, or if it requires keyboard and mouse and there's just no way to use the controls.
So far, that's not the case for any of the games I'm thinking of.
But also, they might work perfectly because Konami came out and said, our Contra collection will not work on Steam Deck. And then 10 minutes later, someone posted it working flawlessly and said, I literally did nothing. All I did is hit play. So who knows?
Yeah, so I guess I have to see, because I don't think I'm in the first batch. I didn't get an email saying, give us money. Mm-hmm. But I have to see, the whole reason I was excited about the Steam Deck is I thought this would be a way to get through my backlog. Mm-hmm. Because I don't really like sitting in front of my computer playing games. Never really been a big fan of that. But if none of my games are going to work, then the Steam Deck has no purpose for me.
Yeah.
I don't really want to play, the latest Call of whatever,
Yeah, I mean, there's two different sides of it. There's that, or you could think of it as, the first game ever to launch with 400 titles. But if you don't want any of those titles, then it really doesn't matter.
Right. There have been other systems that have launched with a lot of games that I was not interested in.
Yeah, or you have, the Nintendo 64, which launched with, 2 games, but those 2 games were games I just needed to have right then. So, yeah. These launches are always fun. But anyway, yeah. What have you been up to?
Let's see, what have I been up to? I put a bunch of notes down here. I posted another... Genesis programming article about doing pseudo-random numbers, because you can't really do real random numbers on the Genesis. You probably know that already.
Yeah.
And just about different techniques to try and, fake having random numbers. And then testing it against something that actually can produce random numbers to see if I can get the same results.
Cool.
It was a lot of fun. I actually wrote this a while ago. This isn't something I just cranked out last week. It's just been something sitting in my queue forever that I... for whatever reason, couldn't get myself motivated to finish. Sure, we've all been there before.
I have 100 of those, yeah.
Yeah. What else put in my notes here? Oh, Pac-Man Museum Plus. Did you see the latest announcements about that?
It looks fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very... I've thought a lot of these collections that have been on Switch are kind of rip-offs because they charge you, back in the day, you could get a Namco Museum collection with everything for $20, and now it's $35 and you get 4 games. Mm-hmm. But Pac-Man Museum Plus looks like you get everything, except for Miss Pac-Man because of all that licensing goofiness.
It's
got stuff like Pack Attack on there, which I didn't know was going to be included.
I'm not sure I know Pack Attack.
So Pack Attack it's clearly a different game that someone got a Pac-Man license for. It's kind of Tetris-y, not really Tetris, it's a falling block game. I don't know what it's closest to. It's visually closest to Tetris, but it really isn't Tetris. It's a lot of fun, actually. So that was kind of a neat one to see included. So yeah. I'm happy about that. I'm trying to figure out where I can pre-order this. So far, I don't see physical copy pre-orders anywhere. And I saw that GTA Remastered got another patch, so I'm wondering if it's patched enough to be playable. Sort of debating that. And in my total off-topic, not retro gaming news, I just realized my wife had another book come out yesterday.
Okay.
Or 2 days ago. Well, I knew this was coming. I just didn't know the date. It's an anthology. It's like 13 authors who did a limited time anthology. It's on Amazon right now. It's called A Season for Love. It's all about stories where the main character is over 40, because I guess there's a lot of demand for that, but not a lot of authors writing it. And I think it's going to be for sale for only like 4 months. So they do this because like the authors use a lot of these collections to like try out story ideas, and if it works really well, they might turn it into a full book.
I'm going to go ahead and make one of my Rob predictions that since Netflix makes anything into a series now, that this will become a Netflix series.
Yeah, I think at least one of the books from here could end up becoming a Netflix show. Yeah. I think the stories themselves are all different enough that they wouldn't be a good series. Because they're all like, the authors all are like writing, the genres are a little bit different. Like I know it's romance in general, but there's like a lot of subgenres. As someone who plays video games, I hope people can understand that. Like Mortal Kombat and Streets of Rage are both fighting games, but I wouldn't call them the same genre.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, I mean, Netflix will basically turn anything into a movie. So I wouldn't be surprised if something from here ended up being a Netflix show.
But yeah, that'd be a good thing for your wife, though.
Yeah, if it's hers, who knows? What about you? What have you been up to?
Oh man, well, last episode, I guess, since we're going to every 2 weeks now, we talked about the 3DS and Wii U. What have you been playing? And so I found mine. I was able to remember my Nintendo. Is it called Nintendo Network? Is that the 3DS one? I got logged into that, and my number one was Samus Returns, which I guess I really didn't hurry through that game as much as I thought. My second most played was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. And then third, which I was surprised it was third, is Mario Kart 7, because that is just a gem of a game.
Did you do more than one run of Samus Returns? Like, did you try to do a speed run or something?
No, but I just kind of hung out in it, and I think I got lost a few times, so I had to run across the entire world a few times.
Okay.
And there was, to my knowledge at that time, no way to like warp or anything like that. But
well, the reason I didn't finish Metroid 2 originally is because I got lost, because there weren't maps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was some kind of in-game map, but it was nothing compared to what's in Samus Returns.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I mean, still talking about the 3DS and the DS. They're closing those stores soon, which we talked about last episode. And so, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll have a beer and be really bored on the couch and then end up on eBay or Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning I'm a lot more broke.
This is why I took Amazon off my phone.
Yeah, it's a good idea because it doesn't feel like you're spending real money. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah. Anyways, I've been trying to collect some games that I think might be valuable one day, or games that I think I might actually want to play. And so the way I've been gauging games that I think might be valuable are games on older systems or even current systems, but that could easily have their license lost. So like a good example is Deadpool or Godzilla on PS4. Those games, you can't buy digitally anymore because the company's lost the license, so those discs are worth a lot of money. And so I've been looking at like a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and a lot of Transformer type games. But anyway, I've also been trying to get into different series, trying to broaden my horizon. And as we all know, I'm not really into turn-based RPGs, but I do want to like those games. Mm-hmm. So here's what I'm doing to fix that. I've found, I know this is something that everyone knew about except for me, so it's not news to anyone, that Final Fantasy has some action RPG games. So I got this Final Fantasy Echoes of Time, the DS. I got Final Fantasy Explorers. And what else do I have here? Final Fantasy Ring of Fates. All for the DS and 3DS. I don't know if you've heard of any of these, have you?
I have. I actually didn't get into those games.
So I'm hoping they're up my alley, but we shall see. And also, if they don't remake them, who knows if they'll actually be worth some money one day.
Yeah, I think DS, if they're going to be worth money, they probably already are.
I don't know.
Like the Pokemon games on DS are like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Already.
Yeah, but those are Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon is its own beast. No pun intended.
So I think the games that end up being valuable, I think are ones. I mean, I think rarity is kind of a big issue, even if the game is terrible.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
like there are very, very bad games that are worth a lot of money just because not a lot of copies were produced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and unless you have some insight into, the publishing or retail industry, it's kind of hard to tell what those games are.
It is fun to guess, though.
Yeah,
it's like to me. I see these are my NFTs.
I suppose, except you actually possess them.
Yeah, they exist in reality, not in Second Life.
And they aren't contributing to global warming. I mean, they have in the past, but they are not currently.
Yeah.
I guess unless you burn them in your backyard, and even then the contribution is pretty small.
Yeah. That wasn't my goal in this, but we'll see.
This is why, like, I have a 3DO game called Some Old Guy Explains How to Hit a Baseball. That's not the full title of the game. It's something along that. It's like I don't know baseball players. Like, I could barely tell you. Like, I think Babe Ruth probably played for the Yankees. That's about as far as my baseball knowledge goes. I'm not trying to be like a condescending, nerd here. I just don't like baseball.
Yeah.
And it's like a tutorial game about how to hit a baseball by. It's not Tommy Lasorda, because I think he was a catcher, maybe. But by someone who's like an old-time pitcher. It's not like Roger Clemens. It's not a name I recognized. And I looked up, and that thing is like, people are asking $200 for it on eBay sometimes. I suspect I would only get $50 if I tried to sell it.
Interesting.
I don't think I would get more than that, but that's still, considering I basically got it for free because some store had some 3DO games, and they're like, no one's going to ever buy Hitting Challenge. And I'm just like, so it was a kiosk Midwest Gaming Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, hey, I'll take all your 3DO games for X amount. And they're like, yep, take them.
That's awesome.
There's like one actual game in that collection, and then a bunch of kind of filler. One of the filler games I did sell for like $50. It was, I want to say it was a golf game, but again, not a game where you play golf, but like a game about golf courses or something. Like, it wasn't even, it was more like a documentary on CD than it was a game.
Those are the games that people are just buying to make their collection complete, really.
Yeah, and I guess that one's kind of rare, so I sold that one. I must have gotten a decent amount for it, because otherwise I wouldn't have bothered.
I'm trying to think what else I got here. Oh, I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West on the PS5. It's fantastic. I am probably going to be... I've been playing it since, I think, before we started the last episode. I could be wrong, maybe right after, but yeah, I'm putting a lot of time to this game. I'm side questing the heck out of it. And it definitely has some annoying things and its flaws, but I do think it is absolutely a great game. And then I went and saw that new Batman movie. No spoilers at all. I really am over superhero movies. But I like this one because it was kind of like the movie Seven meets The Godfather.
Okay.
I think it would have been better if Batman wasn't a character, if they just took his character and made him some weird vigilante. But yeah, I thought it was a nice different spin. But
yeah. I mean, I've got the tab here of highest priced Nintendo DS games according to PriceCharting.com.
Okay.
They just average closed eBay auctions.
Yeah.
And number one is Pokemon Heart Gold Figure Bundle, where it's last sold for $1,673.
Yeah, I don't consider I'm never going to buy a bundle or a collector's edition. So I just kind of avoid all that.
I think I have one. Do I have this one? The highest price game that I think I own, and I just lost it. Where was it? Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride. Apparently last went for $200.
Wow.
$199.98. I think I just bought that regular retail. I don't see these Final Fantasy games yet. It's not to say it couldn't happen.
No, I got these for really cheap.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff at top is this stuff like I talked about, like, I've just never even heard of this, and was like, Shepherd's Crossing 2 is like number 4. It sold for $419.
Wow.
What is Shepherd's Crossing 2?
No idea. What's a Shepherd's Crossing 1?
I don't know, but it's not. It's not on the list. I don't know what this game is. Yeah. All right, let's get into the real show.
Yeah, news. So, what do we got up here first? Nintendo game processor, the Lost Game Creation PC. So apparently this was a Mario Maker PC that had or would have had a built-in Super Nintendo that Nintendo what was this from? Patent. Yeah. This looks pretty neat, ahead of its time, but I see why it wasn't made.
Yeah, the form factor looks a lot like the PCFX.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, yeah, a system, I guess, where you could play and possibly make games. I don't know if this would be meant for consumers or developers, though.
Good point. Yeah, they kind of don't go into that. Yeah, I mean, this would have been really expensive, but yeah, it was Mario Maker before Mario Maker. And sorry if anyone hears my kids screaming, because they are.
That's all right.
What else do we have here? Oh, I put this one in here. This is RGB-Pi OS4 ALFa. So this is our Raspberry Pi operating system, a Linux system that's built to use on CRT TVs, and it's primarily made for not only retro game emulation, but to use your light guns with on CRT TVs. So really cool project here.
I assume none of the Dreamcast light gun games worked with the VGA adapter. Like, they didn't have a fix for that even back then.
That's a good question. I don't know, because that would still be analog. So possibly,
maybe, yeah.
So it might be fast enough. So, or let me rephrase that. May not create lag, but yeah, that is a good question. But this does look really cool, and it does say that Dreamcast does work on this one. So I hope one of our listeners tries that out. A project I am going to say I'm going to do, but I probably never will. Making a tiny Mac from a Raspberry Pi Zero, and this is like a 3D printed Mac Classic. Well, I think it's a Mac Plus that is to scale. 3/4 size, something like that. 1/3 size, and its CD drive is an SD card slot that you can remove, and boots right to Mac OS. Obviously emulated, but really neat, really good looking project.
Wait, has anyone taken the Oregon Trail and Carmen Sandiego games from Target that already come in a form factor like this and modded them to use a Zero?
No, but they really should. That is a great idea. I'm shocked they haven't done that.
Yeah, they're definitely look about this. I'm just looking at mine. They look about the same size as this.
Yeah. I wonder what kind of screen they have. You could always put in a different screen, I guess.
Yeah, I would say the lowest resolution that the Mac supported.
All right. What did you put in this next one, or did I? I don't even know.
If neither of us were putting it in, then perhaps Zach put it in.
Yes.
I don't. This is our homebrew section. Game Boy color game called Wink.
Yeah, you're an eye, a big eye with a body that shoots lasers out of the eye to help put robots back together, something like that.
Yeah, It's a platformer. I would describe it as having NES quality graphics.
Yeah.
It's definitely very good for, it's on par with some of the better Game Boy Color games.
Yeah, again, this one is called Wink, so definitely check it out in our show notes. And then another...
This one you added.
Yeah, another romhacking.net I added. Castlevania Undead Serious Redemption. Castlevania 1 hack where Simon is dead, but he comes back as like an undead skeleton-looking thing, and he has a sword instead of a whip, and this does look... I checked out this video, too. Zach was really impressed with this one, and yeah, this is a great ROM hack. They put a lot of work into this.
Yeah. The hacker in this case has done a bunch of other Castlevania hacks. This is possibly their 8th or 9th. Some are very small, some are big. This is one of the bigger ones. It actually looks like it makes the game a lot harder, which I respect people might want, but it's definitely not for me.
Yeah, I'm already not good at Castlevania. And we had a link to YouTube for a new retro game called...
I took it down because the link is dead. And
yeah, no, I wanted to know if our listeners knew anything on why this was down. It's it was a game called Witch Trial. So if our listeners know any reason why this link went down, please let us know. Couldn't find any info on this. Let's see. What else do we got here?
We have some Doom updates. Oh, wait, no, I skipped ahead. Oh, I missed the really kind of cool one. Sorry. About your PC isn't powerful enough for this NES emulator. So this is the creator of Nesticle has created a new Nintendo emulator that emulates the NES at the transistor level. And probably requires an insanely powerful PC to run.
Yeah, so this is Metal NES, Metal NES, and in there it says, like, even running on a pretty powerful PC right now, you're only getting a few frames per second. But they're frame accurate.
I think we're kind of bearing the lead, though. It turns out that the developer of Nesticle is on GitHub and posted the source code for the unfinished Snesticle emulator as well. That, to me, is much bigger news.
I am going to go ahead and, let's see. Well, first of all, I'm going to star this, but also, where is that link? I want to fork that.
You click on the person's name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm totally going to fork that. There you go.
Ooh,
right
this
there.
Is interesting. So it's actually a Visual C project.
Forked.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I wonder what's going to come out of that one. But yeah, really cool new NES emulator there. What else do we have? Oh yeah, John Romero released for the first time since 1994, he designed and released a Doom 2 level that you could buy from his website directly, and it goes to a Ukrainian charity, which is a good thing. So I think it's only €5, so a lot of cool things about that project. I would suggest throwing him some money. Have you ever used FreeDOS?
Yeah, I've run it in a virtual machine and everything.
Nice. Well, there's a new version.
Yeah, it has it's like, obviously the best way to emulate DOS games would be even better than, why am I drawing a blank on the thing? DOSBox.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bad. Obviously just getting like a DOS virtual machine is the way to go. FreeDOS is actually a pretty intriguing alternative. Like if you just want to use something that's open source, or something that you could possibly adapt. Like people have done a lot of things to FreeDOS, where it could be interoperable with some modern web things. I don't think you can like mine Bitcoin on it, but I would advise you not to do that anyways. But it's got like text-based web browsers and stuff that you wouldn't be able to get on, or you didn't have on DOS 6, right?
Yeah, and it could use, I think, multiprocessor and stuff like that.
Right. So you could run it on like better hardware.
But
So, and I think it has FAT32 support, so it can have a much, much bigger hard drive than your DOS 6.2 virtual machine, right? I think DOS 6.2 only goes up to FAT16.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think FAT32 support was added in Windows 95. I don't think FAT32 was ever in standalone DOS 6.2.
I don't think so either. So
I have to go check. But anyhow, it's a cool OS. I've used it just to kind of kick the tires on to play some games. And some games work really well. Some things crash. When I tried to run, I have to look up. I tried to run like a Sega Genesis development kit on there because a lot of those were written for DOS. And I think that might have like caused the whole VM to crash. It was insane whatever happened. DOSBox definitely crashed hard when you try to compile like a Sega Genesis game on it.
that's hilarious. I wonder why.
I don't know. It's trying to do some instruction that you would only use under certain circumstances. I don't know. I have no idea. But I found a compiler that works on Linux, so I don't need to deal with virtual machines and all that stuff. But yeah, I like FreeDOS. Really, it's a fun thing to play around with it. I don't have the logistical space to have a dedicated DOS machine, but it does work in virtual machines. They distribute an image that's kind of intended to be played in a virtual machine. It's one of those quick start. Like you can just put the CD into a virtual machine and just start using it without installing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very nice OS.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so you use FreeDOS if you want to boot to bare metal. Like if you want to put this on your 386 or Pentium or anything, yeah, you use FreeDOS. If you just want to play games inside of a window, use DOSBox.
Yeah. Yeah, really, it just depends what you want to do.
Yeah,
If you had some old hardware sitting around, it might be a good alternative to DOS 6.2. Again, depending what you need, what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So very cool. I'm glad it's still alive and kicking, even though they don't update it that much. Let's see, what else?
Capcom Fighting Collection.
Oh man, I am going to give them my money for this. So I'm sure everyone's already heard about this because it got announced like right after our last episode. But yeah, Capcom is releasing all the Darkstalker games, which is huge. And it's also sparking rumors of a new Darkstalkers game. It's one of my favorite fighting series. Red Earth, which I guess is kind of rare. Super Gem Fighter, which I don't know. And a bunch of Street Fighter games. So pretty neat.
So it has 10 games on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I say things were, this used to be better. Like on the PSP and I think on the PS2, they released a similar collection, but it had 22 games.
Yeah, they really scale it back now.
Yeah. That's the thing. Just cut back the number of games, but charge a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before you had to buy two of these. Like there were two collections that each had. The first one had 22 games because I have that open right now. The other one had something around 20 games. And I think between those two collections, you would get nearly every Capcom arcade game that you wanted.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Now they just throw one sort of rare game in there, and people have to buy it. But hey, they're getting my money with this, and I have the Darkstalker PC board, so I don't even need it. So, let's see. Oh, the most annoying story of the week. 100.
This actually was a story 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm not putting that in the show notes.
We'll power through this. Hundreds of rare sealed Nintendo and Sega games discovered in a Nebraska storage facility. And I'm going to go ahead and put a subtitle there. By a game store who is going to sell it at the highest price possible.
Right. Like, it's a game store that has a bunch of sealed games, but the story doesn't really totally check out. Like, there's something off here.
Yeah.
So they claim, they're like, we found all these sealed games in a store that closed in 1994. And like, I get it. Like, I've seen galleries of like other old stores that like closed in like the zeros or the 90s, and they never got like evacuated, if that's the right term. Like no one ever like removed all the merchandise.
Yeah.
And the landlord never found a new tenant, and you could just walk in and look in the window and see all this like 90s stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I get that does exist in some places. I'm assuming I feel like it's a smaller town thing, like, okay, to be kind of blunt, like in Chicago, the place would have been looted already. And if it wouldn't have been looted, the building would have been turned over faster. Like, we just don't have empty buildings for huge periods of time.
Yeah.
Right? It'll be something else. It'll get, if the building is just not going to get a new tenant, it'll be bulldozed and turned into, a Portillo's or something, right? Like, it's just, something's going to happen to that building.
Mm-hmm.
So, they claim this was a store that closed in 1994. Okay? Pretty impressive. As they are, like, running their blurry camera over the game, so you just can't quite make out all the titles.
Mm-hmm.
One title that you make out very, very clearly is Madden 97.
That's awesome. So it's no way that's a true story.
Right. So it's possible that they bought a bunch of games from a store that closed in 1994. And they also have a bunch, because they're a game store, they have a bunch of other sealed games like Madden 97. And to make it look more impressive, just throw a bunch of other games in there. Don't focus on any of them too well.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll look like we found like thousands of games, even though like maybe half of these are things that have been on our shelves this whole time.
Yeah. If it is something shady, my guess would be that they found a cash deal with, maybe someone had a relative that died or whatever, some estate sale that never actually ended up being an estate sale, and they don't want to pay taxes on it. So they made some cash deal and we're like, hey, we found these.
Yeah, I'm assuming you don't just stumble across a store. Like, again, one of the weirdest garage sales I've ever been to was one where it was, like, the front lawn, they had tarps out and everything. Mm-hmm. The front lawn was just covered with, you've been to a McDonald's, right?
Yes, once or twice in my life.
Once or twice in my life. And they have the Happy Meal display case up front? It's like a little dome, and it's a piece of cardboard, and the Happy Meal things are attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a yard just filled with those.
Whoa.
Not the whole plastic thing, but like the cardboard insert with the toys attached to it. Like
whoa.
Hundreds. Like all of them. Ever. And I bought like some Star Wars ones for my wife. And they didn't have any video game ones. Someone got there before me and got like any time they'd done a video game one. But that same person was apparently not interested in Star Wars because all the Star Wars ones were still there. And again, like the Star Wars crossover stuff is not like the cool like Burger King mugs you're thinking of. This is like, Attack of the Clones era Happy Meal toys. Anyhow, I asked the woman there, that was running, I'm like, what's the deal with these? And she's like, oh yeah, my husband, he's dead. He managed a McDonald's for like 30 years and just brought these home every week or every month, whatever.
Could you imagine what the inside of the house looked like?
Yeah, so their basement was just filled with Happy Meal inserts.
Wow.
Just, again, all of them. Like, I cannot tell you, I really can't properly describe how many of these there were.
That is really, really strange. But I think your point is weird things do happen.
Yeah. Like, I can imagine, like, oh, my husband or spouse, whatever, ran a game store. It went out of business. I have all these boxes of their old games in my basement. Which is kind of more plausible than this was like an abandoned building that somehow no one ever looted.
Yes. Yeah.
I know human nature. Like, if there's a store that's been closed for years, eventually someone's going to put a brick through the window and gut it. Like,
yeah.
You can think I'm cynical, but that's kind of the way things work.
Especially because it's all the way back to 94. I mean, people had to know. Yeah. There had to be a legend that there was a store with a bunch of old games in it.
Right. It's probably wedged between Cash for Gold place and Dollar General, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like people are walking by this thing.
Yeah. Well, that's our news. No topic this week. Game Club. Which game you want to do first?
Let's just do them in order. I'm going to start by saying that both of our games, I played them on the GameCube Midway Collection, which is a really great collection, but oh man, the GameCube controller is so bad for it. And the other thing is I tried to find both of these games on Starcade, and neither were featured on Starcade, which Satan's Hollow, I guess I'm not surprised about, because it had Satan in the title.
Yeah, during the Satanic Panic, yeah.
Yes. But Defender kind of surprises me. That seems like that would have been on Starcade at least once.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. 1982, Satan's Howl, which Howl is a hard word for me to pronounce, so sorry in advance. It was ported to the Atari 5200, Atari computers, and Commodore 64, and like you said, it was on that Midway Arcade Treasures. And yeah, so it's a fixed shooter, like you said in the notes, kind of like Galaga, but different. It has a brighter background, and you play this kind of tank thing that's shooting gargoyles that are kind of spinning around the sky and shooting things and dropping things on you. And you have to get parts of a bridge and pull them over to build this bridge to cross I guess it's a lava river. And once you get over there, you could fight Satan and get extra points by beating him and get power-ups and stuff like that. And you just kind of do that over and over. The background changes eventually. It becomes more difficult, a la Galaga. The reason I chose this game, I should have grabbed this, but I'm not going to. But a while ago, I bought a Tron PC board upgrade that gives you save states. Or sorry, not save states. It saves your high scores, and it adds Satan's Howl to it. So you could press a combo of buttons, and you can now play Satan's Howl because it's a similar cabinet with the same Tron joystick, except red. And so I thought, hey, why not? For a few bucks, I could have 2 games in one arcade cab. But I did not play in that. I chose this game because I thought it would motivate me to actually put those ROM chips into the cabinet. That did not happen at all. I ended up playing this on archive.org, and it actually worked really well on archive.org. I went to play the 5200 port, and I did not have it on any SD card on a system that I could emulate on, so I did not play it on that. But I don't know, this was an okay game. There was really nothing wrong with it at all. I really don't have any big criticisms other than there are better games in the same style. Mm-hmm. So, I guess if you're at an arcade that has this, or you get a good deal on Midway Arcade Treasures, definitely check it out. But I'm not sure this is like anyone's favorite game, Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah. I actually forgot what this game was like. I thought it was like a Gyrus style game. I don't know why I thought that. I just had bad recollection of it. But yeah, I call it Galaga with like fewer enemies and more advanced patterns. And like the background artwork is like the cover of Ozzy Osbourne album. I don't know. Oh
yeah, it's definitely like some D&D stuff. It's great.
Yeah. I do like the background artwork. That wasn't a slam. But you're right. Like if I went to an arcade and it's like, well, there's Satan's Hollow or there's Gorf, I would probably play Gorf.
Yeah. And for the record, I don't remember ever seeing this in an arcade. The only time I've ever played a real cab of it was at Galloping Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it had bad distribution or people just didn't want it because of the Satanic Panic. But
that's what I'm thinking. The 80s had an awful lot of that. Obviously that still goes on today, but I feel like it was probably worse in the 80s.
They just moved on to other more political things. I won't get into it, but I'm sure people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I don't know. Seems like a weird thing to get upset about. It's definitely not a pro Satan game as far as I could tell.
You're literally killing him. You're killing Satan.
Right. So,
and you could put this in a church.
Yeah, right. I mean, wasn't that the point of like spiritual warfare or something on NES? I don't remember now.
Oh, that is a good question. Yeah.
I can't remember what the ultimate objective of that game was.
We could put out a collection on the Switch that's like Satan killing games.
You're right.
The Redemption Collection or something.
Well, the Ghouls and Ghosts, right? Isn't that who the last boss is?
Oh, true. Yeah.
Or Dungeon Explorer.
Oh man, I think we have an idea here.
Yeah. Great. Now you just have to figure out how to get licenses from like 10 different companies.
Yeah.
Together for the Let's Kill Satan anthology.
That is funny. Well, what do you say we move on to your game?
Yeah. So I did Defender, which I am probably a mistake. I was really bad at this game when I was young, and I'm not any better today. If I can last more than a minute, it's quite an accomplishment on my part.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit better. Have you ever played Defender 2000 on the Jaguar?
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah, that's a little bit easier. Mostly because like the sprites and stuff are bigger. So Defender 2000 Jaguar I like a little bit better. I assume this game was the inspiration for Empire Strikes Back on the 2600.
Except Empire Strikes Back is way better.
It is way better. It is definitely a lot more fun. And just sort of my side note about this is like there was an Aladdin's Castle I used to go to a lot. It closed sometime in the mid to later half of the 90s, mostly like when the one-on-one fighting craze kind of died down.
Mm-hmm.
And of course when PlayStation was in every house, because like why would you go to the arcade once you have a PlayStation?
Yeah.
But that place, I swear, it had a Defender cabinet probably until they closed. Like way in the back, just Defender. And
Probably smelled like
sort of
smoke.
I'm sure it smelled like smoke. Yeah. And I have to assume there's like one dude who just maybe went there and played it every day. Like there's just, it had to make just enough for them to bother keeping it plugged in.
Yeah. Because if a cab did not make money, they got rid of it or converted it.
Yeah. Maybe the guy that worked at like the pretzel place played it on his break every day.
Yeah.
No idea.
What
do you think of Defender?
Well, I played the 2600 port of it, which was awful. So I have to give it to, a lot of 2600 ports. Like this couldn't be an easy game to emulate. It's what, 3 screens long, and it also has to keep track of, each enemy in all 3 screens in the little map up top. So that couldn't be, easy to keep all that going on such a weak machine, but wow, it flickered more than any 2600 game I could think of, and that's saying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It made it unplayable for me. I was surprised this didn't have a 7800 port. I don't know if it has a 5200 port. I didn't check because I knew it didn't have it, but so I ended up playing Defender 2. Now, is Defender 2 and Stargate the same game? Do you know?
Oh,
I
don't know.
I sprung that question on you out of nowhere, but I thought that was the case, but I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but because I always just heard of Stargate was the sequel to Defender, but it seemed like the same, but a better port. So I just played that one and I enjoyed it. Like you,
For the Wikipedia, it is the same game.
Okay. I like it a lot. It seemed the same, but it played better. And wow, are the controls floaty, I guess, where I guess it kind of has an Asteroids feel, but not exactly Asteroids, where you have to hit in a direction and you definitely have some acceleration or deacceleration happening there, so it's not an immediate change like many games. So that takes a while to get used to. But one thing I didn't realize until very recently, this is so embarrassing, is that the mountains or whatever those things are, you can't. They don't hurt you.
Oh.
Every time I played this in the arcade, I would never go low because I thought those things would hurt me.
Oh, yeah. I probably saw someone play it before I played it myself, so I knew that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you're pretty much saying the same thing I'm saying about Saints Hollows. There's nothing wrong with this game.
No, it's just I wouldn't play it. That's all. Like it's really, really like I could maybe get good at Defender. It would take a while, but I maybe could like figure out a strategy for being better at it.
Mm-hmm.
I just rather do something else. And Satan's Hollow, same thing. Like I was perfectly good at the game. There's nothing, it's just Galaga, but I'd rather play Galaga or Gorf.
Yeah, or even possibly Donkey Kong 3.
No. Ooh, that's a tough one. Ooh, wow. That is a tough one.
What are you going to play for next episode?
Well, I saw there was an announcement about Street Fighter 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some controversy about the character's footwear because it's the internet. So I'm going to go with Street Fighter 2. And by that, I mean any game that has Street Fighter 2 in the title. There are probably 300 different games that have Street Fighter 2 in the title. I'm most likely to play the 3DO version.
Cool. Which is, supposed to be a great version. It's one of the few 3DO games I've actually played.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Another World. I just want to give my Sega CD some love. So I've never really played that game. So here we go.
So did you pick Another World because you thought Defender was too easy?
No, I'm trying to go through some games that I should have more experience than I do. So
okay. Have you ever played a minute of Another World?
No, and the best part is that I've watched a lot of video of it of people who make it look really simple.
Right. Yeah. Speed runs. We'll talk about next time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good luck.
So, if anyone plays Another World, any Street Fighter 2 game, Defender 2, Satan's Hollow, FreeDOS, Doom 2, buys the Capcom Fighting Collection or builds a small Mac, please email us. Email at retrogameclub.net. That is email at retrogameclub.net. And we have our link tree and our show notes where you could see our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and probably other things too. And it looks like we do have some good emails this week.
Yeah. We got enough that I actually have to zoom in here so I can read the text. Ross writes in about a few things here. He writes in to talk about some projects.
Oh,
These
yeah.
are some that he worked on. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Oh,
there.
no, I could take this one. He built a bar top arcade cabinet that looks beautiful, looks almost futuristic, and it runs Launchbox, which I'm glad to hear because it's a great product. Not free product. I do think people should pay for it. There is a free version, but pay for it. And it does the MAME stuff I was talking about last week where you could use cool backgrounds and other images for the marquee. So when you spin through the arcade collection, it actually displays the marquee on a short but wide LCD above it, like the marquee, and looks beautiful. Looks like he did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool. Maybe with his permission, Zach could post these online.
All right. Jared writes in mostly about his surprise that MAME is 25 years old. He discovered it after he bought his first PC in 1998 and had to use dial-up internet. So he ended up buying a ROM collection card or ROM collection CD from a MAME burner. Must be some back alley dealer. I don't remember where you would get those. You don't remember how many CDs it had in total, but it was a ridiculous amount, right? Because these are old school CDs.
Yeah.
Defender was one of his go-to games on the 2600. So he got it for Christmas along with a console and a bunch of games that he never got tired of. Joust and Gyrus, I'm always mispronounced that, are his other two favorites. And he also played a ton of Pele Soccer.
Nice.
Has never tried Satan's Hollow, and after looking at a video, that has no recollection of it ever.
He's not alone.
Yeah. And then he asked us about the 3DO ODE. I don't know what that is.
ODE, optical disc emulator, so SD card upgrade.
Okay, so this is to play discs. I see it was first announced February 12th of this year, so that's pretty new. This is on RetroRGB.com, who I do follow, so I don't know how I totally missed this story. But it's, a card to, I guess play ROM images or CD ISO images directly on your 3DO. I wonder which models of 3DO this supports.
That is a good question. Yeah, very cool. And I thought I read somewhere that there was a non-soldering option for this as well, like an external option, but I didn't have enough time to read into that.
Yeah, I have to go look up like which models of 3DO had like an expansion port, for example. I don't know that all of them did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have like one of the cheap. I have one of the revised one that was cheaper. So yeah, I guess I got to look into it.
Cool. Yeah, Jared, thanks for that one. I could take the next one. Eric from the Pacific Northwest. His emails to us are working again. And if anyone listens to this show and we don't read your email, hit us up on Twitter, because for some reason Eric's was marked as, it was like worse than spam for some reason. Like it wasn't even getting to our spam box. But anyway, so we could fix that for you. We don't just ignore people. Anyway, we'd asked, in the Dreamcast mod topic, I didn't know what the controller fuse mod was. And apparently there is a fuse in the controller that blows every once in a while. So there's a fix for that. And I guess we had a question of the week for the console we regret getting, and his was the Wii U. He really didn't get into it. And what was his favorite piece of gaming swag? Something you got from working at a game store or with a collector's edition or something. He got two 2008 Sega CDXs from a yard sale. It was $20 and he sold for like $150. And a Saturn with a travel case that he paid $20 for.
Yeah, he was talking about things that he found and regretted selling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think he's asking us about our favorite piece of gaming swag, and I have a hard time answering that.
Oh man, there's so much.
Some of my favorite things are things I don't actually have displayed right now. I mean, I have like I still am a big fan of the Donkey Kong Country like Letterman jacket that we got, which I assume I could eBay for a bunch of money.
Uh-huh.
Or I could just wear it like a giant dork. I think it's a little small though.
I don't know what mine would be.
You can't see, but I have it hanging from the ceiling in my game room. I have an inflatable flying toaster that the good people at After Dark gave us as a promo item.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't have a lot of game swag. I have a lot of pop culture swag, but not really video game stuff. Just the video games themselves, I guess.
The sound of typing is me Googling inflatable flying toaster.
He also he knows we like good deals when we find them, and he had a local Goodwill pickup for a Wii for about $13, and a great bundle that was a Game Boy player, manual and case, and the disc, all mint. So he sent us pictures of those, and yeah, those look really nice. So yeah, Eric, thank you so much for that email, and sorry I butchered it so much. It is kind of early on a Sunday.
Yes, I'm trying to see. No one on eBay currently is selling the inflatable flying toaster that I have.
Or you could probably buy a new house with that.
If it got 5 figures, I would for sure sell it. Yeah. I don't think it's... Honestly, I would probably keep it for 4 figures. Like, I know how bad that sounds, but like, it's really cool. Judging by like how much other After Dark merchandise goes for, like, apparently there was a tie. But I don't know how old or new this could be. Like something that was just made in like, that's flying toilets. That's not even close. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a gag item. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I could get that appraised. I don't know who I'd have that appraised by. All right. Where did we leave off here? Majors writes in about the TurboGrafx 16 SCSI interface. So he had seen it in magazines in 1992. He had a Sound Blaster that had a SCSI interface and thought he could actually use it. But as far as he can tell, it never came out, and then the prices of CD drives fell around that time anyways. He also mentions, so you watched the video that you talked about, Computer Chronicles, and he uses the term VHD shooter, meaning vertical, horizontal, and diagonal shooter. And it was apparently something TTI was trying to make happen, and it did not.
Yeah, that did not catch.
It did not. What else here? Collecting taking up too much space. Yes, he mentions that big box PCs, of course, take up a ton of space, and cabinets will take up your entire garage. There's a 2012 documentary called Space Invaders in Search of Lost Time. And the title has a double meaning: the classic arcade game and the lack of space once you start collecting arcade cabs. Oh, I see, Space Invaders.
Yeah, and you could watch that for free on Netflix, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
it's a good documentary.
Okay.
If I do remember right, there's a not child appropriate section where one of the collectors dies for some reason, starts showing his porn collection. So
okay.
I was watching that with my cousin. If this is the one I'm thinking of, I was watching it with my cousin and one of his kids, and we were like, "Whoa, quick turn off the TV button there."
That's a weird thing to pivot to.
It's only for like 30 seconds too. I think they put it in there because it was so cringe.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe I'm thinking of Chasing Ghosts. One of those two. I get them confused. All those documentaries.
It's not King of Kong, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's definitely not King of Kong, but it's all the same people. But maybe I'm thinking of Chasing Ghosts, but I've definitely seen this one as well. Anyway, sorry about that.
All right. And he also mentioned Zophar's Domain as being, very big place to learn about MAME and emulation in general. Yeah, Zophar's Domain is a really cool site. Was a really cool site. Now I don't know what it is. So along with MAME, he also ran Neo Rage X for Neo Geo games, which I don't remember that well. But I think a little bit like me, at least, he's fallen off the MAME bandwagon because there's just too many variants and he can't figure out what to do anymore. And then asking about the upgrading the Ouya, or in my case, I guess actually replacing it. Wondering what's the advantage to a micro console over an old laptop running RetroArch. You know what my thing is? Space is a big one, but like these cheapo Android boxes that I'm talking about, they also are like streaming media players. Like that's what they're basically sold as like you can run streaming media, or you can just hook up an external drive with like, whatever videos you have to it. And for me, it's like the not fussing around. Like they come with sort of like a pre-built solution to do one thing, which is like streaming media. And I don't have to configure anything, which I'm tired of configuring things. And then assuming they use like the Android emulators, those are pretty much like zero setup. Because it's like not like RetroArch where it's like, oh wait, hold on, now I want to run PC Engine. Now I got to open up PCEngine.config and blah 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 and all this nonsense, right? It's just like there's an emulator. It's called PCE Emulator. You run that, it works. Like, boom. That's what I like about the Android things better. I rather could get an old laptop and stick Android on it, I suppose, but I think I have a lot of other projects I want to finish, so that's why I'm not buying one of these right now. And I assume prices will come down. I mean, they're not expensive right now. It's just not a lot of money, so I really don't care. It's not really the price. It's just I don't have time to dork around with that at the moment, and by December, by like next winter break, the thing that's like $40 today will be replaced by something else that's $40 or $50 that is like twice as fast.
Yeah.
So like if you buy one of these things and you let it sit for like 6 months before you do anything with it, like you could have just not bought it and bought something 6 months later and you'd have a better thing.
True. I've done that so many times. Well, cool. We got some, thank you for all those emails.
Yeah.
We got some social questions, favorite shmups. We got Gradius, we got Xevious, what else? Sky Kid. I don't know that one. Ikaruga, Raiden, and Metal Slug. And we have Jim from the Pie Factory sent us a picture of Eugene Jarvis at Galloping Ghosts playing Defender, actually losing at Defender.
Yeah, I don't assume that just because you developed a game that you're any good at it.
Yeah. But that's pretty cool. Well, cool. Again, that's email at retrogameclub.net. Please shoot us your emails about playing the Game Club games and other stuff we talk about. And I think that that about wraps her up.
Yeah. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.